going on?
Thank you so much.
Pay like $1 million.
Shout out TMZ, you up?
Let me check out that ring.
TMZ stands for the Mayweather Zone.
How'd you find me, bro? I got my disguise on.
I love my TMZ family.
Welcome to TMZ Sports. I'm Mike Babcock with my guy, as always, Mojo Muhtadi. Mojo, we're going to start with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are rolling. Started the season 8-0. Now, last night they were playing the, the opposite of them, Mojo, the defeated. They are looking for their first win of the season, the Atlanta Braves. Now, it was Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. And like so many times, like so often in sports, Mojo, where it just seems like there is a storybook ending. Well, again, Ohtani bobblehead night, Ohtani steps to the plate with a chance to send all of the Dodgers fans home happy, to send his team to an 8-0 start, best start for a World Series winning team. And this is exactly what happened, Mojo. Ohtani, blast, walk off. Watch this.
High fly ball to center field. Harris is back. Ohtani, inevitable.
Mojo, he didn't even waste any time, didn't take any pitches. First pitch, blast, gone, game over. He had already had 2 hits, ends up going 3 for 5, of course, with the walk-off home run on bobblehead night. You can't make it up.
You know, people might ask, what does a guy have to do to deserve $700 million?
Yeah.
Well, this is a good example, Babcock. You just said, with everything riding on the line, a hit like this, man, my goodness. Look, there's something to putting up crazy stats. But if you put up crazy stats and don't win, it's almost inferior to just having a big play once in a while at a time when it actually matters. As long as the team wins, that's all the fans care about. They don't care about anything else. That guy could have played like crap the entire game, but as long as you come away with the win, that's what people want to see. On bobblehead night, small advantage. But also, when you're breaking the record for best start by a defending World Series champ team, my goodness, you just keep adding to this extra thick icing on the cake. Also, kind of crazy to me that the record is only 8 wins. That doesn't seem that high to me, but whatever. Times are tough. You play the World Series champs, you get up for that game the next year. So I guess I could see that. But yeah, this is crazy. You said it all last year, Babcock, that you thought this guy was even underpaid at that rate. And he just keeps validating that statement.
Yeah, Mojo. And to your point, baseball is a funny game. In basketball and in football, you'll see dominant teams. But baseball teams, the best baseball teams, you may lose 60-plus games a year, right? If you won 100 games in a season, that is called having an incredible, an amazing season. So I guess when you consider that, it really does go to show, even going 8-0, how incredibly impressive that is. Also, to your point, we've seen a lot of guys who put up big numbers, but when the going gets tough, when those pressure-packed moments come around, we've seen players come up short. But this guy is as clutch as they come. He's good in the beginning of the game, and he's good in the pressure-packed moments. He is just a great, great baseball player. Which brings us to our next soundbite here, Mojo. Jerry Hairston Jr., of course, a longtime Major League Baseball player who one of his few stops around the league was, of course, with the L.A. Dodgers. He is now one of the team's broadcasters. We had a chance, in light of what happened last night, Mojo, we had a chance to speak with Jerry earlier today. Big statement, big claim on Shohei Ohtani, Mojo. Perhaps not just the best in baseball right now, but maybe the best in the world, period. Watch this.
Listen, Aaron Judge in New York is unbelievable. He's the best player in the American League. I think Shohei Ohtani is not only the best baseball player, I think he's the best athlete on the planet right now. No disrespect to Messi, no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, Jokic, who's having an incredible season again with the Nuggets. But I think right now, the best athlete on the planet is Shohei Ohtani. He does so many things well, runs, hits for power, hits for average, and he's going to be back on the mound shortly. So Shohei Ohtani has that flair for the dramatic. Last season goes 40-40 on the same day, steals his 40th base, and hits a walk-off to hit his 40th home run that very same day. And we all know about the 50-50 in Miami, but of course he hits the home run, the walk-off home run on his bobblehead night.
You know, Mojo, it's one of those arguments that it's impossible to prove because it's a subjective thing. How do you prove Ohtani's better than the Joker? You can't. It's impossible. But it's impossible to disprove it, too.
So you had offsetting technicals during the timeout. As the Warriors were going to the bench, Ja Morant had some form of gesture there. You can make that what you want. And then Buddy Hield kind of responded. So you have offsetting tees, no free throws.
Mojo, that was Tuesday night. Ja Morant and Buddy Hield celebrating with, making a gun gesture with their hands, as you see right there. You see Ja doing it, and Buddy Hield did it as well. Now, a lot of people had questioned, Mojo, whether or not the NBA might actually step in and either fine Ja and Buddy or even suspend them. Of course, considering everything that happened last couple of years with Ja Morant and the gun video and how he's already been in trouble, a lot of people said to themselves, hey, this is incredibly stupid for Ja Morant to do. Well, we now have an answer on that question as to whether or not they will face any sort of penalty from the NBA. And the answer is no, Mojo. So the NBA has decided not to fine, not to suspend Ja and Buddy, but they have, in fact, issued warnings. They do not want their players doing this kind of thing. It sends a bad message to the fans, and they have essentially said, hey, cut it out. We'll give you a pass this time. Next time, obviously, there could be a bigger price to pay.
This one is a bit perplexing to me, Babcock. Yeah. I mean, when you consider the timeline on this one, this dude has gotten into trouble and faced suspensions in the past for doing this exact same thing. Usually, there's an escalation factor with these things. The more you do it, the worse it gets. This, I feel like, is the first time that at least I can remember in sports where there was a de-escalation factor, where the penalty was actually lightened or didn't even exist at all when you continue to do this. Now, I guess you could look at this in one respect that, that was at least a season ago. It didn't happen within the same season. It's been a while since the last incident. I don't really see that being an excuse that holds up. I mean, there's an argument too. It was maybe more than one player that were doing this thing. If he didn't initiated it, but he reciprocated it, does that factor into this whatsoever? I don't know, Babcock. Maybe it's the NBA literally saying that it is clear we cannot stop this man from doing this particular gesture, and we're just going to give up on it.
Yeah, Mojo, I also think the NBA, they need ratings, and they need stars playing basketball in order for people to watch. And if you like him or dislike him, Ja Morant is an explosive and a flashy player who's got a lot of fans. And I don't think the NBA wants to sit him down, and not for an extended period of time. So I think they say, hey, Ja, remember everything you've been through. You've got to be smarter. If it has to do with a gun and you're on the basketball court, just don't do it. Don't do it. With just 3 weeks until the NFL draft, the Browns shouldn't pass on a quarterback at 2 overall. Or should they? WWE superstar and diehard Browns fan, The Miz, weighs in on his team's draft plans when TMZ Sports returns right after this. Welcome back to TMZ Sports. Mike, Mojo, and Lucas. Guys, draft is only about 3 weeks away, and after the Tennessee Titans make that first pick, the Cleveland Browns will be on the clock. Second overall pick after a rough season, obviously being at the top of the draft. Browns were 3-14 last year, and there's a lot of talk about where they go in this draft, guys, and we're actually going to hear from Lucas in a second, who is a gigantic Browns fan. Do they go for a quarterback? Do they take Cam Ward? Do they take Colorado State quarterback Shedeur Sanders? Or do they go for a defensive player, perhaps the great pass rusher, Abdul Carter from Penn State? Or do they go with the guy who was the Heisman Trophy winner and could play both sides of the football? Well, that's the question. I don't know. Somebody who might, who like Lucas is a gigantic Browns fan, is a WWE superstar, The Miz. He is from that Cleveland area. He's been rooting for the team for a very long time. We recently ran into him and we asked him for his thoughts on the draft. Take a look.
I don't want to see them trade out of it.
Oh, no.
I want them to take one of the four tops. Like if they get Cam Ward, great. Abdul Carter, awesome. Him and Myles Garrett on defense would be absolutely stellar. Travis Hunter, let's go. Shador Sanders, I'm in.
You said it last.
Whatever it is. It's hard for me with quarterback. We've been dealing with quarterback situations.
Yeah.
I liked Baker from day one.
Yeah.
Baker was my guy, and then we got rid of him.
Yeah.
So that was troubling for me. So I have a hard time with any quarterback. Here's what I would do if I'm GM. I would try to get Kirk Cousins. I would go Abdul Carter, because then I would have just a defense that you're not going to be able to get the ball out. You're just not.
Yeah.
You're going to be sacked within 2 seconds. And then I'd go for a second-round quarterback, whoever the best is, highest on your board.
Ooh, what do you think, Lucas? He's got a plan.
And I like it. And here's the thing.
too.
You also have to take into account what Browns owner Jimmy Haslam said the other day, that they don't want to force something. And I think that's exactly what you have to do here. If you're not in love with one of these top prospects at quarterback, then by all means, don't force it. Because, yes, the quarterback position is the most important role in all of sports. But when you take the Cleveland Browns into consideration, it's the most nerve-wracking position because they've been dying so long to have that franchise quarterback. And we thought we did have him with Baker Mayfield. And then we took that risk with Deshaun Watson, and then you have Haslam coming out and saying, yeah, it was a swing and a miss. So having a quarterback, and especially a rookie quarterback, come in after that disaster, I think it just adds way more to the pressure of having to succeed here. Bring in a veteran. Kirk Cousins would be great, or even Joe Flacco.
It sounds like he's got PTSD, Lucas. It really does. And I think you talk about quarterbacks in the same way. It almost sounds like you guys have PTSD when it comes to drafting quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, because of the way it's gone for the last 10 or 15 years or so.
And honestly, I don't want to ruin someone's career. I mean, a lot of these guys have a lot of promise, but the Cleveland Browns right now are not the best situation for a rookie quarterback. Let's be completely honest. I mean, and The Miz, I remember talking to him at Mastro's one time. I ran into him, and I told him Cody Kessler's the answer. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it turns out he was absolutely right. So I'm gonna side with him here because Cody Kessler, great guy, but that didn't really pan out for us either.
Well, guys, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into what Mike the Miz has to say. Everyone knows he's a fair-weather Cleveland fan, and that's why he's supporting them right now, because they've been so very good at football recently. But, hey, jokes aside, if I'm Cleveland and I'm in charge, I'm taking a safe bet here. You can't gamble anymore with this franchise. They already have so many holes to dig themselves out of. I do love the pick with Abdul Carter as a former defensive lineman myself. I love to see when you show love to the defensive line, especially when you got the D-line coming back that you do. Get a veteran QB, someone who's safe, someone who knows what he's doing. Don't break the bank on him. So a Kirk Cousins could make a lot of sense here, and then go back to rebuilding this franchise.
Bottom line, Mojo, and I've seen it as a Giants fan, if you've got crazy good pass rushers, you can win Super Bowls. I watched the Giants do it with Strahan and Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora. Those two guys together would be a crazy, scary combination. You get decent quarterback play, like from someone like Kirk Cousins. I like it. We finally know the cause of death that led to the passing of Brett Gardner's 14-year-old son. The latest details on an extremely tragic situation when TMZ Sports returns right after this. Welcome back to TMZ Sports, Mike and Mojo. Mojo, we've got an update on an incredibly sad story involving a guy who was a fixture on the New York Yankees for a decade and a half. As people have probably heard, Miller Gardner, the 14-year-old son of Brett Gardner, again, the longtime Yankee, who was an all-star, was a World Series champion, won a World Series with the Yankees the last time they won in 2009. His son tragically died while they were on vacation with the family in Costa Rica on March 21st. Now, since then, there have been investigations trying to figure out, Mojo, why this young teenage boy who was healthy, by the way, would just pass away in his sleep. It did not seem to make sense. Many different things were speculated. People thought that it could have been food poisoning. It could have been an allergy. Carbon monoxide poisoning was also one of the early theories. Well, now we know, Mojo, that it actually was, yes, in fact, the carbon monoxide gas poisoning that took the 14-year-old child's life. And a horrible, horrible story when you think, again, you're on vacation, everything is good. Brett Gardner's only 41 years old. He's retired, gets to finally hang out with the family, not have a job to worry about, and something so tragic to happen. And something so senseless, Mojo, right? For carbon monoxide poisoning. And now Miller Gardner, again, gone forever. Horrible, horrible story, Mojo. But at least the family now finally has some answers.
Yeah, this is just crazy, Babcock. I mean, carbon monoxide poisoning, this isn't exactly something you would expect to deal with ever, whether you're home, whether you're at work, let alone being on a vacation. Again, this is a pro athlete, man, a guy that made a lot of money in his career. You got to assume that they were staying at a really nice place. So for this to happen just comes out of the blue. Not that that makes this whole situation any better or any worse. It's absolutely horrifying to hear. I mean, but you know, this scared a lot of people. I mean, I even was talking to my wife this morning about getting some carbon monoxide detectors for when you're traveling on the road. I mean, who would have ever thought that would have had to have been a thing? But, you know, this has happened, you know, not just to this family, but it has happened other places. So it really is a concern right now, but really terrible to see, you know, a young kid that had so much life left to live and cut short because of something like this. Absolutely terrible.
Coming up on TMZ Sports, what's it like playing for the polarizing Jim Harbaugh? We catch up with Chargers kicker Cameron Dicker, who talks all about his coach's sense of humor. Stay with us. Welcome back to TMZ Sports, Mike and Mojo. Mojo, Josh Carty, Rams kicker, my favorite kicker in the NFL, but coming in a close second is Cameron Dicker. Dicker the kicker, Mojo. I love this guy. Had a really nice season last year. He's still a young guy. Had a really nice year, top 10 in field goal percentage across the league. Well, we ran into Dicker the kicker recently at LAX as he was doing some traveling, Mojo, before training camp here rolls around and gets back to work. What is it like playing for Jim Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh, I think, is pretty much widely regarded as one of the better coaches in the league, but also known as a really demanding guy. He knows what he wants, and you've got to sort of fall in line. So what's it like to play for Coach Harbaugh? Well, that's exactly what we asked Dicker the kicker. Take a look.
Harbaugh is one of the biggest football person. Any cool stories where you're like, I can't believe like this went down, like, you know, with me and this legend, you know, like.
Oh, everything he says is awesome. The day I dressed as him for Halloween and walked out to practice. He looked at me and he was like, feels great, doesn't it? Just to be in this. Oh, I can see you in this one day. And it just made me laugh. The guy's just hilarious. I didn't know how he'd take it.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
He was a great sport. I was willing to risk it, and it was awesome. He's a funny dude.
It's a bold move, Mojo, as a young guy in the league to dress up as your head coach.
Yeah. He's funny. Funny how, Babcock? like the coach is a clown? Like he's here to amuse Dicker the kicker, Babcock? That was a risk if I've ever seen one, trying to clown your coach. But obviously this was a risk that paid off, and you don't get to the NFL by not taking a risk here and there. I don't know who's funnier, Babcock, if it's Harbaugh or Dicker the kicker. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and guess it's the latter.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of things about Harbaugh in my day. Being really funny is not usually in that top 3 to 5 things of what I hear about this man, but this is just about all I know about Dicker the kicker. So I'm a fan of this dude. I hope he continues his antics. I don't know how he's going to top this thing next year. The pressure is on at this point, but we'll leave it up to this kid and see what he's got. Let him amuse us.
All right, Mojo, we are just about out of time, but we started with 68 teams. We are now down to the final 4, Mojo. We've got a couple of games. We got 3 games left to be exact to name the national champion. We're going to be joined by a guy who knows a little bit about playing in these massively important college basketball games, Mojo. The great Chris Webber, the Hall of Famer Chris Webber, who, of course, had a tremendous professional basketball career. Also was part of one of the most infamous plays ever way back 1993, Michigan, UNC playing each other for a chip. You know, you remember that timeout that Michigan did not have. We're going to talk to Chris Webber, who's going to give these guys advice, Mojo, on playing in the most pressure-packed basketball game of their careers. But we're not just going to have that. We will also be joined by one of the best UFC fighters in the world, Michael Chandler, who, of course, fighting in the co-main event at UFC 314, just a couple of days away, Mojo. Michael going to join the show. We'll hear from Chris Webber. I don't know, Mojo, if that's not a great show, I don't know what is. Bunch tomorrow, bunch to talk about. Going to be great.
Absolutely. Making lemonade over here, Babcock, after Maryland was eliminated from both brackets. And we only have 1 seeds left. No underdogs. How boring is that? But we got Chris Webber. We got Michael Chandler. That is going to save this show, and we'll see you tomorrow where it'll be the best show since today.
I'm a lawyer.